I know you know the story. The old story of the famine. You heard that story. I brought my family to Egypt, wondering how I would keep them fed during the famine. It wasn't a good day for me. It wasn't the right decision. You know that story. You know how Pharaoh found my wife to be attractive. And then I found myself... I found myself with rope and beard, no. I found myself in a place of a problem which had no way, but the Lord made a way. You know that story. And what followed, I took my family, we went back to Bethel and Ai, where we had an altar that I built to the Lord. It was there that I reconnected, and it was wonderful. I felt the Lord's forgiveness, I felt closeness, my faith was magnified. I was ready to go on, and so we did. We moved from place to place with our large herds. Our herds grew. We were prospering. We made so much profit with our sheep and our goats, and they grew. And Lot and I, well, our herds became unmanageably large. We couldn't share land. This is the part of the story you don't know that I want to tell you. And our herdsmen, they realized that the pastures were only so big, that the water holes were only so abundant, and they started to create strife. And I said to Lot, Lot, I love you, your family, but we have to separate. Kin strife isn't good. I said, Lot, you choose what direction you'll go. Just choose any direction with my blessing. Take your flocks, go there. And I'll take my flocks and I'll go someplace else. Now, I expected my nephew to say, no, Uncle, you choose and I'll go where you don't go. But he didn't. He just looked and he saw what was pleasing to him. He saw that there was rich grass pasture land there in the valley of the Jordan, down by Gomorrah and Sodom. He said, I'm going to take that rich pasture land and you go elsewhere. Now, I was happy to go elsewhere. One thing I learned when I came back from Egypt is that God is faithful. He'll be with me no matter what. I don't care. I don't need green pasture lands. God will prosper me. I think Lot learned something different from the famine, right? That there's a lot of insecurity. I have to make choices that look appealing to me. He says, there's the green pasture land. I'm going there. Now we knew that Sodom was a wicked town. But there were the green pastures, and there he went. And I said, bless you, nephew, I will go elsewhere. And I did. I took my flocks, and we roamed. I made Bethel and Ai area sort of my home base, but always coming back. That's where I stayed, and it was a good time. We had some contact. But it was about 13 years later. There was a war. You know, when you have green pasture land, when you have beautiful green pasture land, it's not just attractive to Lot, it's attractive to everybody. Everybody wants that land. And so Lot chose that land, but it turns out the kings of the valley were small city-states. They were more like governors. They really weren't kings, and they paid tribute to kings on the east side of the Jordan River. And as is the miscalculation of men, one day the kings decided that they weren't going to pay tribute anymore. They thought that they were in a good place, that they could defend themselves, but they were wrong. And the 5 kings from across the Jordan came and they conquered them all. And Lot, who had the wisdom of not going into Sodom before, Lot had stopped before going into Sodom. He only lived near Sodom. When the war came, he sought refuge inside the city walls, and that was his undoing, because when the conquering kings came, they broke down the city walls. They took the people of Sodom and the king and my nephew with them. A messenger came to me and said, "Your nephew has been captured." Well, as Redeemer kinsman, as the uncle, I had a responsibility to rescue him. Not sure how to come up against the army of 5 kings, but I had 300 men who were trained in some means of fighting. They weren't military men, they were shepherds, but they knew how to handle a sling, they knew how to handle a spear. They'd been trained for that, and the Lord said, "Rescue your nephew." So I did, and off we went. It was a long haul, my 318 men against 5 armies. We traveled 70 miles before we encountered them. I don't know how I would have done that without the confidence from the Lord that he was with me. 300 men against armies of 5 kings. I know that sounds absurd. And in its own way, it is. But off we went. And we had a victory. I didn't win Lot back. That wouldn't happen for another several weeks. But we had a victory, and the kings are on the run, and we chased them another 40 miles. So my army, we traveled 110 miles on foot so that I could live out my responsibility as Redeemer kinsman. We did conquer the armies of the 5 kings, and there was celebration. Oh, we were so happy. We were still out in the field waiting to return to Bethel and Ai. And a most interesting man came to me, and I don't have time to tell this story, so I won't, but I'll tease it. I'll tell you later. Melchizedek was his name. He was known as the King of Peace, came to me. The King of Peace was a priest and a king, and he served me a meal of bread and wine. And I just thought it was right to worship him. I gave him 1/10 of everything I owned right there and then. An amazing man, but that's all I'm going to say, because that's not part of this story. After Melchizedek left, you know who came to see me? The king of Sodom came to see me. And the king of Sodom said to me, "Abram, you have rescued me, and I want to show you my appreciation. You can have whatever tribute you would like." Wow, that's quite an offer. When a king comes to you and says, "You can have whatever tribute you would like." Now, I know I'm a rich man, but you know what? Rich people like to have one thing, and that's more money. But I said to the king, "No, I don't even want a piece of leather, scrap leather from you." And I told him why. I said, "The Lord has prospered me, and the people can see that I'm prospered. And I want the Lord to get all the credit for that. I don't want anyone to say, when people look at Abram and say, 'Oh, the Lord has really blessed them,' to say, 'Oh, I had a part in that. I blessed him too.' I don't want that. I don't want anything from the Lord to be taken. And so I will not accept a single gift from you. Not one gift." But I did say it was right for my people, my men, to be fed by him and to receive their share of booty. It's right for them, but I will not receive a single thing, so that my Lord might be glorified. And that is what being at Ai and Bethel did for me. It gave me the courage to say to my nephew, "Choose the good land, whatever else is good enough for me." It He gave me the faith to say with 300 men I can chase down 5 armies because the Lord is sending me. He gave me the faith to say I don't need a king's tribute. I have enough. And that's the story I want to tell you this morning. And now I want to come out of character and say a couple more things, if I might. It is what it is. I want to tell you the tale of 2 friends. My 2 friends. Some of you have heard this story before, but it's worth telling. I have 2 people who have really captured my interest as faith mentors, as giants in the faith. And one of them is a multimillionaire, and the other is a person of very, very humble means. But they're giants to me. One lives in a mansion, and the other lives in a home where the water doesn't pour out of every faucet. The outlets don't all work. In the wintertime, it's very cold. The furnace doesn't really heat the house. My millionaire friend travels the world, and my humble friend, on more than one occasion, has had to pray just to get her car started. But both these people have great faith in the Lord. They have Abrahamic faith in the Lord. They live their lives with great purpose, with a sense of calling, even though their callings in life are quite different and their circumstances couldn't be more different. But their faith in who God is, what God is prepared to do for them and through them, enables them to live their faith courageously and on the edge, even though one is in this world very secure and the other in this world lives very insecurely and day to day. Abrahamic faith is not about being rich. We should admire Abraham not because he was a wealthy man and could make the choice of, Lot, you take the good stuff because I've got all the wealth I need. That's not the story. Abraham took his life in his own hands, if you will, when with 318 men he chases the armies of 5 kings. He's prepared to lay his life down to do his duty. That is Abrahamic faith. And that's our story. We have a hymn of response.